to see you guys here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Welcome, guys. Welcome back to Carolina Film Network with our podcast. And I am here, Andrew Gadjadar.
Faith Creech.
Chris Manganelli. I'm so bored right
now. Today we are talking our topic. Someone wrote in, what's the guy's name? Vincent. What's the last name? Monaco?
I don't know.
Vincent Monaco?
Monaco? Don't you mean Monaco?
Monaco? Vincent Monaco?
Monaco.
Monaco?
I think that's his name, Vincent Monaco. I call him Tilly. It looks like Tilly.
Just call him Vinny. I don't know.
So the question was, how do I get better exposure for my film? And as far as like as an independent filmmaker, making film, getting it out there to the masses, to get people drawn in to come to my premiere for my film, like how do I get those people in the building? How do I get attention in the media? How do I get the press release out there and things like that? That's the question. So that's the topic today, is how to get exposure for your film. The first thing you want to do is you want to treat your film, every single project that you do, you want to treat it like it's its own business, its own miniature business. So just like a regular business, you want to do a business plan. You want to do a marketing plan, a marketing strategy, a budget planning and strategy. All these things that you would do for a normal business, you need to do for each and every single one of your projects. Okay. So with that being said, the way that you get your business exposed, of course, you have, your labels and your brand marketing and stuff like that. You have product placement in films, and the same way that you would do with your film, you're going to treat it the exact same way, putting that product out there in the eyes of the public the best ways that you possibly can, talking to as many people you can about it, gathering that interest into your film, and you'll be surprised to find out how many other people actually are doing things along the same line that can align with you. Yeah. Right? So, and what we did, I actually went to an event last weekend called Loft Sessions, and it's done by Preach Jacobs. And I got a chance to get with him earlier this week, and I interviewed him about this. He's also a journalist, and he writes for several publications, and he gave me some more insight on how to go even further into who you should talk to and how to incorporate yourselves with these people, and to befriend them and to network with these people as well. So, and that's again, another thing that we should do, is to always network with the people that are behind the scenes, not just the stars in the front. It's not always the greatest thing to know the stars or to know, you need to know the editors.
Yeah, you need to know the editors. People who do the groundwork.
Yeah, the people who write the articles, like in the media, like, like let's say the Free Times or the State Paper or something like that. Like you actually need to when you read an article and it has the person's name on it that wrote that article, that's who you need to be talking to. Those journalists that's out there, you need to be talking to those people. Reach out to them, find out where they are, what they're doing, and the things that they like, the things that interest them, and also read their articles, all the articles that several of their articles that they write on a regular basis, so that you can actually kind of see their writing style and what their interests normally are, and the things that normally, the topics that they normally touch on and stuff like that, to see if they align with what you do on a normal basis. Again, as filmmakers, we also want to go to film festivals, and it's not just if your film is in the film festival. Like, don't just go if your film is in the film festival. And if your film is in the film festival, don't just go just for your film. Like, you need to be watching these other filmmakers.
It's a great way to make connections.
Absolutely.
And, lifelong friends, people who know the struggle and will support you as you support them.
Absolutely. I know that I've met several people from film festivals that we've actually did work with and stuff like that too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's just from meeting them at film festivals, and it's like I'll see somebody whose quality of their cinematography or something like that is like better than ours, and they got better equipment, and they're really good at what they do, and they don't mind collaborating on projects and stuff like that. Like that really helps. And then on top of that, every single person that you have involved in the filmmaking process, and you go to these film festivals and you have directors and actors and all these other people that are part of the filmmaking process on those other projects in addition to yours, and every single person has their own network. Every single person. You have to look at it that way. Like the director, they have friends and family. That main character, they got friends and family. Like, everybody has their own network behind them. So aligning with them, that just adds on to your network.
All right, now real quick, when you're behind the camera, it's like really easy to be impersonal in a way, because when you're in front of the camera, you have to be outgoing. You can't be shy. Or when you're going out as an actor to try to land roles, naturally you have to show your personality and stuff like that. But it doesn't mean that as a director or a producer or someone that's behind the scenes, doesn't mean that you can't be that way also. Be outgoing, okay? Ask questions. Don't isolate yourself. Don't just say, well, I'm there for my film. I'm going to watch my film. And I might say, hey, good job on your film too, and then be on your merry way. You have to mingle. You have to mix. This type of business is a very social business, an extremely social business. And now more than ever, because we have social media, it's not like back in the old days where, literally you had to kind of like pound the pavement to get your hustle on. Now you can get your hustle on in cyberspace. More than ever, technology has made the world a lot smaller. And with that said, that means you can get your stuff out there a lot more effectively than you could back in the old days. So, by all means, do not be shy. No question really is a stupid question. The worst question, in fact, that you can ask is the one you don't ask at all. That's the worst one, because you never asked it. So that's definitely what I would say about that. And again, this film festivals are not just a vehicle for other people to see your films or to get accolades and awards. Film festivals are generally mixers. There are places where you can garner some resources, where you can, even recruit people to work on a project as well. So, that type of networking in some cases is worth more than money. So keep that in mind when it comes to marketing your stuff, because marketing actually goes both ways.
It's true. Yeah. And we will do a podcast just on marketing too. We'll do one just on marketing.
There's so many different things you can do with marketing, especially with your films themselves.
We do want to... since we are talking about film festivals, you need to make sure to go check out Reedy Reels Film Festival, which is in Greenville this weekend. And what's
the actual dates?
It is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
But I mean, like, what days are those?
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
No, I'm just saying, because I mean, sometimes you gotta like break it down.
I think it's first, second, and third of
November. First, second, and third of November.
And then this coming Wednesday is Second Act Film Festival, and is at Trust Us Theater. They are sold out for their first showing, and they have a few spots left at 9 on Wednesday. So we will be at both of them. I think Reedy Reels will be there on Sunday.
Cool. Yeah. I can't wait. We'll be there doing interviews and stuff like that. And like I said, we're going to come up to you all, or whoever's going to be there. Like, we're going to come up to people that are there, but also, y'all got to come up to us too. Like, if you see media, you gotta understand, film festivals invite media on purpose. Okay, so media will be there. You'll have, the distribution companies there, or distributors there, or people that represent these companies there, or you might have people there that are literally just doing write-ups and stuff like that. And you got to pay attention. Some of them might have a press pass on or something like that. That's going to let you know, hey, they're media. Or if they're walking around with a camera, I don't care if it's somebody else's camera. Like, they're doing a vlog or something like that. You need to get on that camera. Like, hey, how's it going? Like, who do you write for? Who you work for? Do you and they'll say it too. They'll be like, oh, do you have a film in the festival or something like that? Like, no, but I'm a filmmaker out of Columbia, South Carolina, and and just break it down. I mean, that's your time to just pitch yourself to the media, because you never know, that media might travel where you are. I'm a personal example of that. I was at a film festival. I had a film in a film festival in New York, and the media saw me there. I was in the VIP room for where all the filmmakers were and stuff like that. And they pulled me to the side and was like, "Did you have a film in there?" And I was like, "Yeah, I had a film in there." And then they asked me the name of the film. And then sure enough, when my film showed, they went and they saw my film. They purposefully saw my film and they loved it. And then afterwards, I had media pulling me left and right, and they waited. They waited on the side for me to get done with all the rest of the media. And they didn't have no microphones, no stuff like that or whatever. They were just regular. I thought they were regular people that were just like, maybe they wrote for somebody or something like that, but I didn't know the details. And then sure enough, we had a long conversation. They waited till I was done with everything and everything was closed. And then next thing you know, they looked at me and they talked to me about everything. And they came down to our film festival. They came down. In South Carolina. They've come to a premiere and our film festival. They've come to a movie premiere and a film festival.
They come to everything we do now.
Yeah. Now they're really good friends. They've done write-ups on us, and everything. Like, they put us in the paper, in the Broadway world, and everything else. And that's just from opening your mouth. That's just from getting those opportunities to actually open your mouth and then just doing it and just speaking to people, and don't brush them off. Don't brush them off and get involved. You know what I'm saying? So, again, this is what we're talking about today. And in the interview that I had with Preach, you'll see that we go a little bit more in depth of kind of more or less what we're talking about now.
And really his perspective, because he is media.
Yeah, because he is media.
And he gives some really great advice. So enjoy that. Make sure that you subscribe to our channel and click the bell so that you can get notifications.
Ding dong.
Ding, ding.
Hey, can I... Oh, yeah, sorry. Ding dong something else. Sorry about that, guys. Can we edit that out? Hey,
no.
Well, one other item. When you go to these things, bring business cards.
Yes.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Wear a shirt that, shameless self-promotion never hurt nobody.
Oh, yeah.
Branding goes a long way.
Branding goes a long way. People are going to remember your brand, even if you're wearing it on a shirt, let's say, and it's big. They're going to ask, hey, is that your production company? Is that your film studio? But yes, it is. And here's my business card. Lastly, let me leave you with this. Be prepared to answer questions. Monologue in your head if you have to. Because if they ask you a question and you're not quite sure how to explain things, or it doesn't make sense, that's going to go as long of a way as it would when you answer a question the right way. But the inverse of that is going to come off negative. So anticipate what they're going to ask you, and, in your head already have it succinctly put together so you can answer that question, so you can sound, like you're in control. You don't want to look like you're not quite sure what you're talking about, or it doesn't make sense. Even though you know exactly what you're talking about, if you're not, ready to answer that question, or it catches you by surprise, in and of itself, that could present negatively on your part. So keep that in mind.
Awesome. So here's the video. Go ahead and check it out.
Enjoy.
So I have with me here Preach Jacobs. If you could just introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are.
Hello, my name is Preach Jacobs. Oh, you want more? Okay. I'm a writer here in Columbia, South Carolina. I write for the Free Times and the state newspaper. At the Crime Blotter Guy, I'm a columnist with a column called Fight the Power, where I write about hip hop, politics, and social awareness. I'm an artist here. I do music. I do event programming. Anything involving the arts, I've pretty much had a hand in a little bit of everything.
That's what's up. So as far as artists that are out there now, the filmmakers that are out there, I know one of the biggest problems is that we have a problem with is getting exposure. And a lot of people don't even realize how big the film industry is here in the Carolinas, especially South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Even more so in Columbia, that there is a film community that's in Columbia. So with that being said, what can we possibly do to get ourselves out there to get more exposure, or where the news outlets and the journalists that are out there can write about our films and get them involved with what we do?
The cool thing is, I think there's different levels, right? There's the media, there's the press, which is always there, but there's also us. And I mean us in the sense of people are really invested in wanting to see really cool things happen in the city, right? So, a friend of mine, Christopher Bickle, did the Theta Girl movie, and he's actually working on a new movie now. And a lot of that came from crowdsourcing. You know what I mean? And I think that there's something about when people of a community are invested in the art that comes out of it. So it's not like, hey, I'm asking for money and then I'm going to shoot a movie somewhere else. It's something cool where you can watch a film and see the bars that you go to, the restaurants that you go to, people in the community that you're a part of. So I would say that, filmmakers, we don't have Hollywood budgets for first and foremost, but everything is kind of guerrilla and it's a sense of community that the first thing I would say is whatever you need help with, reach out to people, and more often than not, they're open to it. The other thing with the press, the press is kind of the same thing where, the publications that I write for, everybody they're fans of the art scene. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're not going to write about music and not be a fan of the music as well. So I think that, aside from just sending press releases to a lot of these people as well, which always works. And I tell people this all the time too. When you send us a press release for an event or something you got going on, give them time. You know what I mean? I think a big thing is, you got an event on Friday and we get the press release on Tuesday. And sometimes that becomes an issue where I would say, give the press time and go to functions where, these people are going to be. Here's what I would say about the press too. I think, I'll give you an example. This might be kind of a left field example, but I think it makes sense. So I was getting involved in politics a few years ago, and one of the things I wanted to figure out was what could I do that can kind of give me better information on the community base and stuff that's in the community where we're talking about law enforcement, policing. There's a distance between those two communities. So I found something that was called the Citizens Police Academy, right? Which is open to the public, which is free. All you got to do is sign up. They do a background check. I'm glad I passed it. And it's like a 10-week thing where you go and they show you, how law enforcement works, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the connection though. One of the things I didn't realize was they said, look, whatever neighborhood you stay in, there are officers in those communities that they work for you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and we don't think about it like that. We think about it, we call them when something's up, but they work for you. So here's access to these people that, hey, come out to this if we have an event or something in the community, but we want you to come and not just patrol the area. So when they do come, they're more involved. The press is kind of the same way. So there's things like, the Free Times do the Best of Columbia parties. I'm actually DJing a Halloween party that we have. Those are opportunities to find out where these guys that are writing for these publications are going to be and interact with them. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times when I would do programming stuff, I would just throw parties and invite the people that I need help from. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, it's easy for as many press releases that we get from people in the community. It's a lot better when we have a face that's attached with it. So I would say anything that you're doing within the community, whether it's making a film, whether it's making a music video, because I've done a few of those and I shoot a lot of stuff in Columbia, it's kind of the same thing. A lot of it is the good wealth of the people that have an investment in wanting things to work out. So I would say, do those things, and the non-conventional is the conventional. You know what I'm saying? Go to the local restaurants, go to the local bars, go to the local art spots, and give people the opportunity to be in a movie, and they love it. And that's kind of the cool thing about Columbia is that I think it's getting bigger where we're getting more attention, but it's still small where it still feels like a community.
That's what's up. You're right, completely right. I mean, I love the way that we actually have a community that's kind of grassrooted right now. We have a lot of room to grow, so making these connections are very essential, for our growth as well as the growth of South Carolina.
Absolutely.
So as far as being a musical artist, what would you say is the biggest benefit with filmmakers in general of aligning themselves with actual artists and their music? What's the difference between working with a local artist versus trying to employ or get big name music that's copyrighted onto your film?
I think that's the biggest thing too, right? Is that I think a lot of times we like to we like to go out instead of looking within. Like I forgot who said this, but they had like this really great point where she was saying that, I think it might have been Issa Rae, when she was talking about when she started doing her filming, which funny enough, a Columbia connection, Issa Rae that does Insecure, she started out doing YouTube videos called Awkward Black Girl, which were directed by Tracy Oliver that went to Spring Valley High School with us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so one of the things that she said, some of the advice that she says, you know, a lot of times the biggest issue is when you're trying to be a filmmaker, an artist, a musician, we want to go and mingle with people and try to, network up, right? We always want to find somebody that this person has more money or more this, more that. She's like, nah, you need to network within. Like, find people that are compatible with you but might do different things, right? So if I'm a hip hop artist and I need help with visual arts for a music video, let me find a visual artist that has the same sensibilities that I have, and we're in the same position. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? And when you find those people, you're building together. Whereas what you end up having, especially as a musician that's worked with artists that are signed, you know, it's a lot different when you're chasing a celebrity to be a part of your thing, where, you know, you might not get their best work. They might be flooded with other offers. You might not have the budget to, you know, if they're competing with somebody else in the industry. Whereas you want to find people that believe in what you want to do, and you guys are both invested. And I think that local art supporting each other is very important. You know, I'm working part-time at a record store, Papa Jazz, and I used to work at Sounds Familiar, which was another record store that was here. And when the record stores that died out, one of the things I noticed before they died out was that back in the day, and I can talk about them because they're gone, like Manifest back in the day, if you were a local musician back in the day, you had a concert, hey, you could put your flyer in the window. Yeah. Right? Got to a point where the record store became corporate, and it was like, hey, if you got a local concert, you can't put it in the window anymore. You could put this on a board in the back. And it was like a little small board that was by the bathroom. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, they're not going to last long, because the lifeblood of a record store is the local artists in the community. You know what I'm saying? So if you're a musical artist and you can't promote your local show at a local record store, it's not going to work, because that's the lifeblood of it. Because when you put a CD out, you're like, hey, go to the local record shop to buy my record. You know what I'm saying? And so those things, they kind of interwork together. And it's the same thing with filmmaking. It's the same thing with being a musician, is that find those people that are in the community that match and support your idea and want to see the local scene work. When you go get somebody from out of town, they don't understand the nuances of living in Columbia. They don't understand the nuances of South Carolina and why it's so important. Because a lot of times there's certain cities that take all the greatness they have for granted. You know what I mean? Like, I'll look at concert calendars in Atlanta, they'd be like, this artist is playing blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, man, I wish we get this here, you know? But you got to build it up. And I think that's really, really important.
That's what's up. I also think that, and I've worked with a few local artists with some of the films that we've done. And I think that it's extremely beneficial to have the person or persons that own all the rights to their music. Yeah. To allow you to be able to promote them and build with them through your film, because I'm gonna tell you, it's a lot of hurdles to go through. Absolutely. To have copyrighted music, or, you know, trademark logos and all this other kind of stuff that you have to be wary of making sure that you don't display in your film without those proper permissions. Yeah. And I think working with local artistry it's just, I mean, it's a blessing. Like, a lot of people don't really think, like, reach out to these people and actually ask them for their music. And then at the same time, you have musicians that are here that are looking for different avenues to get their music out there. And it's like, you know, they don't even know that there's such a big demand for their music in the film industry that's even local to them too.
I would say this too. Like, I scored a local film, and just the experience was just really huge to be able to see how being in your house making music and see how it translates to the final product. That was a new experience for me, and that was also something that introduced the music to people that really regularly wouldn't hear it. Another thing too, I would say to filmmakers, get involved with the local stage theaters as well. because a lot of times they're looking for the same things you would for film. They're looking for people to do sound design, stage design, set design, costume design.
Absolutely.
And those places are always looking for volunteers, always looking for help. And that's kind of a great way to get your foot in there. And I would say the funny thing about, you know, working with artists, working with each other locally, every other form of things that we love, being local is cool. Like you see like farm to table and, you know, we're eating food that's locally sourced, you know, you're eating vegetables that came from up the street. And it's like, word, we treat our food like it's great when it's local, you know, but when it comes to artists, the idea of an artist being accessible in your neighborhood, that seems like it's a bad idea. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and I get frustrated as an artist here where I would see, it's two examples that I saw, right? And not to throw people under the bus, but there was this huge campaign that the city had for the branding of the city, because I think our branding is famously hot in Columbia, South Carolina, and I remember there was this thing to do this whole rebrand that would be like our, what do you call it? Our welcoming committee. When people come here, here's the stuff that you see. Here's the marketing and promotional stuff that represents Columbia, South Carolina, and you would hear the amount of money being shelled out to go, and this money would go to people that live in Philadelphia, New York, and all this other stuff. And you look at the work, and the work is like, yo, I know tons of people locally that would have done better for this. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with like, there's a few murals in town where it's like, you know, you hear the amount of money that's put into it. And I'm like, why did y'all have to go to somebody that's in another state when there's local artists that do this? And so I'm a big proponent of local art. And when you think about hip hop music in general, the reason why everyone thinks that Atlanta is the mecca of black music is because if you think about it, I can run an Atlanta urban radio station and play nothing but local artists. You know, and all the local artists are national, international acts because they supported them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So essentially, I think that, you know, it starts from that beginning where you be like, yo, let's big up our people, because there's nothing that hurts more than having someone from your city feeling like they have to move somewhere else to get the respect and acclaim, and making them have to double back and say, hey, now I'm famous, now I can come back home. We should be cultivating that talent here.
Yeah, especially since a lot of them that leave find that opportunity and that new life in a different mecca that actually does respect and uplift the arts. And then they don't come back.
Oh, they ain't coming back. They talk like they're from Brooklyn all of a sudden. Like, yo, you know what I'm saying? I ain't never been to Columbia, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, I went to school with you. What are you doing?
I think I know a couple of them. For real. But, that's awesome. And just kind of closing out, I went to your event this weekend, the Loft Sessions.
The Loft Sessions,
It was amazing. I loved it. Again, bringing artists to Columbia in a real quaint environment where, you know, it was food, it was drinks, it was live music, and we were all just, it felt like we were all at a house party. Yeah. Like it was just a good communion, you know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
like, I love the event. Could you tell people how you, not necessarily how you got started, but just the whole idea behind that, and again, how that's helped you to network as well?
I think we always kind of like the same thing. We're talking about the local thing and the networking thing. We always want to network out instead of networking in. I think being a programmer of events is kind of the same thing, where I've done programming where you're trying to get thousands of people in the building. And even though that has its own rewards and its own risk and headaches that's involved with that, I've learned that the opposite end is more important. So my mind, from a programmer's perspective, is like, yo, instead of trying to figure out how to get 200 people to spend $10 or $5, let me get 50 people that'll spend $40 and have a really dope experience. So the Loft Sessions the idea was basically saying, I want really, really personalized music and art endeavors. So the Loft Sessions idea was, I partnered up with a friend of mine that had an amazing loft and who's a business owner around here that owns 2 restaurants. And I'm like, what if we just did an idea where we just literally just do a show in the loft, where every time we do a show, we'll have a black visual artist that's sponsored. Their artwork will be on the walls. We have, you know, usually, either if it's not a black caterer, the restaurants that my friend owns, they'll either provide the alcohol and the food. So when you pay your $30 to $40, Your food is included. Your alcohol is included. You know, the price point kind of prices out people doing crazy stuff. Like, ain't no 20-year-old kid gonna spend $40 and, you know, get drunk and, you know, wild out, get so drunk they step on, I don't know, a belt or something and stab their foot, you know, so we're making sure people don't get hammered and do crazy things or whatever. But the idea of having an event like that when you spend $40 to be in a building, you want to be there. And it's a very, very great intimate experience where people get to talk to each other. People get to network with each other. And the law sessions was really, really dope. We've done a few of them and we want to expand. This last one we did at an art gallery, called Frame of Mind that I partner up with. And we brought a singer from Nashville named Laura Reed. That's pretty amazing. We had, a member from the group Toro y Moi, speaking of local talent, who did a DJ set, and I played some music and we had food and drinks and it was really, really dope. And I think that the older I get, those are the artistic experiences that I want to see more often. You know what I mean? And I would say that too, as far as people like programming, instead of thinking about the large amount of people, figure out how to speak to people that really, really, really hear you. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm more interested in connection than I am on the amount of people. I'm interested in, like, you give me 50 people that really rock with me. I'd rather have that than 500 people that's like, okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because when you get the people that rock with you, they'll follow you to do whatever you need to do. And that's a real network.
Absolutely. I mean, that builds, one of the most important things that I always think about with business is building that email list.
Absolutely.
Building those direct connections. And then when you have a glass of a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or go to an event like that, a good networking event like that, where all this live interaction is provided for you in the space to be able to really just immerse yourself into the environment itself and just everybody loves it. I think it solidifies those audiences that we as filmmakers are actually looking for, because there's a lot of times that we have premieres or we have, we want people to vote for us or come to a film festival and see our films. We end up, it's like, we kind of throw ourselves out there, but we don't know what kind of results we're going to get. Whereas if we have this solid network of people that constantly support us and come to our events and things like that, then it can help us to get even more funding. So if we were to link up with a program director, somebody like yourself, and put on a show or put on some sort of event to raise funds to make these films, and then make those same connections as we're doing it. You know what I'm saying? I think that really can help us as filmmakers as well.
I also say this too for anybody that wants to be a filmmaker around here, or that's an artist, or anyone that needs something that is the most important thing outside of being creative. It's the lifeblood, is the finances, right? It's like needing money. So I would say whoever's watching this, if they're not in South Carolina, or if they're not in Columbia, there's probably something similar like this in every city. But we have something here in Columbia called the South Carolina Arts Commission. And they have a grant called the AVN, the Artist and Venture Grant, where ideally the grant, and I've gotten this before, the grant is like a $5,000 grant. And basically it's like, hey, pitch to us how the work you're doing is going to be for people in your city or your state. And it's going to help the people in your city and your state from doing your artwork. And they give you $5,000 to say, hey, all right, here you go. And it takes kind of a headache off. And the more I started digging into it, different cities have different things, but it's called different stuff, right? Yeah. And I think a lot of times we think that the idea of grant scares the heck out of people when they think, oh, I need to have a grant writer, or, it's like this real complicated process. And I would tell people all the grants that I've applied for and the city funding that I've gotten, it's never complicated. It's just tedious. Like here's what they'll do. They'll do stuff like this. It won't be hard to fill out the paperwork, but it'll say something like, all right, you got to give us 12 copies of the application for 12 people on the board to read. Don't staple it. Right?
Yeah.
And people can fill the application out, and then they'll staple it. And then as soon as they're doing, and I've seen this, as soon as they're about to read the grant proposals, as soon as they see the staples on it, they just throw it away. And all that is just like, we just want to see if you can read directions. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times it's not difficult. It's just essentially like, all right, do you pay attention to detail? Tell us what you do, and nobody can sell your work better than you. But I would say, for anybody in any city or any state, just Google your city, your state, and art grant opportunities. And there should be something that pops up for everything and everybody. And I would say, like, again, like I was talking about the law enforcement and the press, these people in these communities that work for these commissions, they work for us. They want to give us this money. They want to give us these opportunities. So I would say, volunteer as much as you can. If you see something involving the arts that's familiar with what you want to do, volunteer. If there's a local theater that you want to get into filmmaking and they're looking for volunteers, even if they have you at a concession stand and you can volunteer once a week, do it. And you can see the process of, when local filmmakers come in to show their films, show how they put the movies together, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, show you how to put an event together. Like, all those things are very, very valuable. And it helps with the equity of being an artist for the things you want to do in the community.
That's what's up. Well, I appreciate you
talking to me. Thank you for having me.
And you guys, you want a website or anything like that?
Hello.
Probably got a whole bunch of them.
You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as Preach Jacobs, Preach Jacobs, Jacobs. And if you like this coffee mug that I've been drinking out of, ain't nothing in here. I just been trying to pose with this. It's something in here. Go to mobettersoul.bigcartel.com. It's where you get to see all the clothing stuff that we have. We have some cool designs. It's the Sade joint. It's the Prince joint. We got a Marvin and Stevie design. Just really dope black and brown inspired hip hop clothing and gear. Follow me. I got some new music. So anything involved in arts, I've been a part of it. So yeah, anything you want to look up, Preach Jacobs, go to mobettersoul.bigcartel.com. Buy something, please. Rent is due. Please buy something. Please. That's all I got.
That's how we support each other. All right. Y'all take care.
Peace.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the interview with Preach Jacobs. And if you would like to know more about us, please check out our websites. We have Carolina Film Network, NPO.org, freedomfestfilm.com, pmgfilmstudios.com, American Pit Fighting.com, and yeah, that's all of them.
Did you say Freedom Festival already?
Yeah, I said Freedom Festival already.
The links will
and
be
picturemediagroup.com as well.
the links will be at the end of the video.
See you next time.
Ta-ta.
All right,
Peace.
ring that bell. Like us.
Ding, ding.
All right.
Messages.
Yes.
With questions.
Yes, with questions.
Yeah,
with questions.
We interact.
Word.
Yes.
Ciao.